Hello everyone, today I'm doing a deck profile on my Dimension Dragons deck. So I'll also be doing a deck profile on my Losso at the same time. Anyway, let's get this started. So the body we run is Dimension Dragon Apis. So obviously if you play Dimension Dragons, you need to play Losso because without this card, Dimension Dragon is essentially useless. So most people know what Losso is. End of your opponent's turn, pay 2 gauge, put it on top of your flag, and you change your deck into the lost deck. So yeah, it's pretty good. You can only play up to 2 copies in the deck. So yeah. Next up, moving on to the monsters. 4 copies of Dimension Dragon Argonia. You may call this card once per turn. When this card is put from the field to the drop zone, you may discard a Dimension Dragon from your hand. If you do, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, put 2 from among them into your hand, and put the rest into your gauge. So essentially, when it's sent to the drop zone, for example, you just call a Dimension Dragon on top or it gets destroyed. Discard 1 Dimension Dragon, look at top 4 and need 2 cards to hand and do the gauge. So, amazingly powerful card. That is a must play in order to excel through the deck. Next up, 3 copies of Dimension Dragon Apis, the buddy. You may call this once per turn as well. When this card enters the field, you may discard a hand card. If you do, look at the top 6 cards of your deck, put up to a total of 2 Dimension Dragon monsters, all also from among them into your hand, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So enter the field, look at top 6 cards, add up to 2 Dimension Dragons or Losso into your hand. So this can help you find the Losso flag quicker, or you can take Argonia, or any other Dimension Dragon monsters in the deck. Next up, 3 copies of Dimension Dragon Aplisto. Cost pay engage. When this guy enters the field, look at top 3 cards of your deck. Put up to 1 Dimension Dragon monster or Losso from among them into your hand and drop the rest. So put to the drop zone. So enter field, look at top 3, add a monster or a Losso, and put the rest to the drop zone. Quite self-explanatory. Next up, my favorite kind of deck. 4 copies of Dimension Dragon Uncost, which is essentially an Alvidol. When this card is discarded from hand, if you have a Dimension Dragon on your field, put the top card of your deck into your gauge and draw a card. Then if your flag is Losso, draw an additional card. So basically, discarded, charge and draw. And quite a number of these cards in this deck which are important, like these 2, use this card. So it really helps you gain advantage. And AP can also add this card to hand. Pretty good. And if you happen to discard in Losso, you charge 1, draw 2 instead, which is amazing. Great card. Next up, size zeros. 1 copy of Dimension Dragon Kata Tilly. At the start of each player attack phase, if this card is in your drop zone and you have a Dimension Dragon on your field, you may pay 1 life. If you do, call this card from the drop zone, and then when this card is destroyed, destroy a monster on your opponent's field. If you do, you gain life equal to this card size, to that card. So basically, you can every turn call back to the center or whatever. Then if they destroy this, you can destroy a monster and gain back life, which can help you stop attacks or just heal back if you need it. So yeah, good card. You can also use it as retiring fodder for a certain card, which is this one. Dimension Dragon Audio, 3 copies. Counteract, you may put another Dimension Dragon from your field in the drop zone and pay 2 life. If you do, choose a card in your deck, put it into the drop zone, shuffle your deck. Then put the chosen card on top of your deck. You may use this ability once per turn. So essentially, you can fetch any card from your deck and send it to the top. For example, Losso. And let's say it's on the field, you pay 2 life, send Argonia from the drop zone. No, from the field to the drop zone. You can take Losso from the deck, put it in the drop zone, shuffle the deck, add it to the top, then discard 1, look at top 4 with Argonia effect, and just add this card to hand. So it's quite easy to fetch back Losso with this deck since you can play these 3 cards. Next up, 4 copies of Dimension Dragon Deyugain. Counteract, during an attack on your opponent's turn, if you have a Dimension Dragon on your field, call this card from your hand and change the target of the attack to this card. So basically, you're redirecting. And during your opponent's turn, when this card is destroyed, if you have another Dimension Dragon on your field, draw a card. So it redirects and you draw cards, so you don't lose any hand advantage. Hand size, which is amazing. Okay, moving on to the spells. We run 3 copies of DN Vigor. When you cast this card, if you have a Dimension Dragon on your field, cast cost, pay engage, draw 2 cards. Then if your flag is Losso, draw a card and deal 2 damage to your opponent. You can cast this once per turn. So by pay engage, draw 2, it's pretty simple. And if Losso, you draw 3 altogether and deal them 2 damage as well. So really good card. Next up, 3 copies of Destruction. Cast cost, destroy a Dimension Dragon on your field. Counter, you gain 1 life and draw 2 cards. You only cast this once per turn. So, destroy your, example, Argonia, gain 1 life, draw 2. Then you can use Argonia's effect to top 4. Next up, 4 copies of Lost of D. Put a Dimension Dragon monster or Lost Sword from your drop zone into your hand. Why I play 4 is because I normally like to refetch the Dimension Dragon, especially this one, for discard fodder. Since I can discard this both my turn and my opponent, so very handy. And if you lose Lost Sword to the drop zone, well, this is what you use to retrieve it. Next up, 2 copies of D together. Cast cost, destroy a Dimension Dragon monster on your field. Counter, destroy a card on your opponent's field. If you do, put the top card of your deck into your gauge, you gain 1 life and draw a card. You only card this once per turn. So basically, destroy a Dimension Dragon, destroy your opponent's cards, and gain 1 gauge, draw 1 card, and gain 1 life, which is amazing. Next up, 2 copies of Machining Sacrifice. You cast this card during your opponent's turn. Cast cost, put a monster from the field to drop zone. Counter, call a size 3 or greater monster from your drop zone by paying its call cost. So what you use this card for is mostly just to send your monster to drop zone and call back Argonia. So you can use this on your opponent's turn as well and gain more advantage in your main deck. So yeah, great card. That's the only card you use it for though. Next up, 3 copies of D Decline. You can cast this card if you have a Dimension Dragon on your field. Cast cost, drop a hand card. Counter, for this turn, all cards on your opponent's field get critical -2. So this reduces your opponent's entire field's critical, which can really help you survive at the attacks. And also if you discard audio, you're going to get the gauge and draw effect, so pretty good. Next up, 3 copies of Body Block. Cast cost, play engage. Counter, choose and use on the following 2. For this turn, the next damage you take is reduced by 3. Or if your opponent's card attack 4 times or more during this turn, for this turn you will not take damage from attacks. So this can essentially really shut down decks such as Gargantua, Astro, Asian, or any deck that love to multi-attack you in 1 turn. So yeah, this really helps you. You can also play De-Alteration if you want, which works, but I use this because normally I face people who will clear out my entire field and I won't have Dimension Dragons to use it with, so this is a great alternative. You can also just play De-Alteration if you want. Next up, 3 copies of Loyalty. Cast cost, play engage. Counter, choose and use on the following 3. For this turn, the next damage you take is reduced by 2. Or you drop a soul from a monster on the field. Or for this turn, your opponent cannot call more than 3 monsters. So this can really hurt decks such as Gargantua because they love to G-level and call repeated monsters. Or Curse, which some decks usually will call Gale multiple times a turn just to try and get as many cards under your flag as possible. As well as multiple decks that like to multi-call. Also, you can remove souls or just use this as a protection card if you have no need for the other 2 options, which is great. Last card in the main deck, 3 copies of Dimension Spirit Gun Kakchia. Equip cost, play on life. Counteract during your attack phase, choose a Dimension Dragon monster on your field. You may rest this card. If you do, stand the chosen card and draw a card. So basically, let's say you can just restand this, any monster, and draw 1 card extra. So this is a great plus. You can also just do it on your first turn just for the draw card. So yeah. Okay, that's all for the Lost World, my Dimension Dragon main deck. Now onto the Lost World deck. So 4 copies of Vow Demonic Deity Dragon, Vanity Apoc Destroyer. So call cost, when the Lost World monster is put from the field into the drop zone, you pay 2 gauge to call it. This card on the field cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Dimension Door Impetus. When this card enters the field, choose up to 2 cards on your opponent's field, drop all souls from the chosen card, and put the chosen cards into the drop zone. It has double attack, 50,000 power, 3 critical, and 10,000 defense. So, amazing card. Basically on call, remove like your opponent 2 card soul, so you can, example, put Gagas to the drop zone and like the item. So you can essentially just shut down your opponent's entire field offense. It's amazing because it can be done on your opponent's turn, since it costs to have your Lost World monster be sent to drop zone. You can also just do it on your turn by pushing out a Lost World monster and then call it. Or there's one more alternative which I'll go into later. So yeah, also Buddyfight, very beautiful. 4 copies of this card. Next up, 2 copies of the original one, Vow Demonic Dragon, Vanity Husk Destroyer. If this card is on the field, your opponent cannot gain life, so it really helps. This card on the field cannot be destroyed by a bonus card effect, and when this card attacks, put a card from your bonus field into the drop zone. It has double attack, 30k power, 3 crit, and 10k defense. So basically, attack, put a card from the field to the drop zone. This card is mostly here because it can prevent your opponent from gaining life, and it's just an amazing loss fader to have. So yeah, great card. Next up, one copy of Vanity Heart's Destroyer, the Skull. 30,000 power, 5 crit, 10k defense, very high stats. Also, this card can be destroyed or reversed by your bonus card effect. And when this card attacks, destroy all cards on your opponent's field. So attack, destroy all cards, and that's about 5 critical worth of damage to your opponent. Also, if you use this item, you can withstand it and attack again, which is about 10 damage in one shot from one monster, which is great. So just one copy since it's enough. Next up, 2 copies of Deyugain Zasaife. Call cost beyond engage. When this card enters the field, nullify all abilities of a card on your opponent's field and destroy it. The double attack, 10,000 power and defense, and 2 crit. So yep, just call, nullify your opponent's card's ability and destroy. It's good for clearing out specific cards before like you got some here. Cause now Gargantua has a card called the Angry Guard, which prevents the soul from being dropped. So you can call this, get rid of it, then just call this out to get rid of the Gargantua. So yeah, just 2 copies. That's all for monsters in the deck. Next up, 3 copies of Invasion from the Deep and Vile. You only cast this if you have a Lost Vader on your field. Look at the top 4 cards of the deck, put out the 2 from among them to your hand, and put the rest into your gauge. So you only cast this once per turn. So essentially it's an Diagonius effect, but immediate, which is pretty amazing. Just a great top 4. Next up, 3 copies of Dimension Draw. Draw 3 cards, then drop 2 hand cards. You only cast this once per turn. So let's say you cast this, you draw 3, and you discard 2 of this card. You can essentially charge 1, draw 2 to make up, or if you discard 2 of those, you can charge 2 and draw 4. So it's an amazing plus if you can discard 2 of those size ones. That's why I love playing this card the most. It's great. Next up, 3 copies of Dimension Denial, classic spell now. You may cast this card when your opponent casts a spell, counter notify the spell cast by your opponent. So it's a free spell now. Amazing card. Just to shut down your opponent's attacks, or actually not attack, just protection spells. Since mostly you'll finish them by this turn that you will lost into. Next up, 3 copies of Val Vortex. For this turn, all cast costs, and equip costs of cards in your hand are lost. Essentially, you don't pay any of them. So this is how you can call Vanity Apex Destroyer for free on your turn. So you cast this, just call this out for free, immediately put their cards to drop zone. So you don't even have to like have your lost monster be pushed to the drop zone. Great card. Makes everything free. Next up, 2 copies of Day of Devastation. Counter choose anyone of the following 2. Destroy all monsters on your opponent's field and deal 1 damage to your opponent for each card destroyed. Or for this turn, all cards on your field cannot be destroyed, return to hand, and the abilities cannot be nullified by your opponent's card effect. So it's essentially the Astro Dragon spell, but there's a counter, which is amazing. And it's not 1 per turn either, so you can use both effects. Next up, 2 copies of Dimension Wave. Cast card, destroy a monster on your field. Counter, put the top 2 cards of your deck into your gauge. You gain 2 life and draw a card. You only cast this once per turn. So you basically, let's say you didn't cast Val Vortex, you can cast this, destroy 1 of your monsters, charge 2 gauge, gain 2 life, draw 1. Then Superior call Vanity Heart's Destroyer for another 2 attacks, which is great. Next up, 1 copy of Dimension Livestream. Choose and use one of the following 2. You may cast this one per turn. You either gain 10 life or your opponent's life become 10. So yep, you can just buff your life up insanely, or you can just cause your opponent's life to become 10. Let's say they're like Link Dragons, you can just force their life to become 10, which makes it easier to kill them. Last spell on the deck, Dimension Cruelty. Counter choose and use one of the following 4. Put up to 3 cards on your drop zone into your gauge. Stand a card on your field, rest a card on your opponent's field, or drop out to 2 souls from a card on your opponent's field. So it's very flexible. You can essentially use this for your situation. If you need gauge, just use the first effect. You want to withstand like the skull for another attack. You want to rest your opponent's stuff, or you want to specifically remove some soul. It's very good. 1 copy is enough. Then lastly, the impacts. 1 copy of Vanity's Devil Blazer. You only cast this card if you have 2 or more Lost Vaders on your field. You pay 3 each, you deal them 10 damage. It's just a very effective end game. So let's say your opponent is still alive somehow. Just use this to finish them off. And if you use Val Vortex, you only pay 3 gates. Sorry, excuse me. Then the 2 impacts. Vanity Destruct Vanish. Cast cost beyond gauge. Stand the Lost Vader on your field, and for this turn, that card gets critical +5 and penetrate. Then attack with that card. So we stand your Lost Vaders, and they attack again. So S5 crits, so let's say we stand the Scout, that's 10 critical. And let's say you do it to the same card twice, the critical stacks. So yeah, great impact. That's all for my Dimension Dragons deck. Hope you all enjoyed that. Please, if you have any suggestion for a deck, please do tell me. I'll consider making a video on it as well. So with that, see you all next time. Goodbye.